Hi guys, welcome to the Wishup podcast. For this episode, we have a very special guest with us. He graduated from IIT Madras. He has experience working with KPMG and Rocket Internet and has co-founded a team of more than 250 remote employees working for Wishup along with his partner and friend Vivek Gupta. Presenting to you the one and only Neelesh Rangwani. Welcome to the show, Neelesh.
Thank you, Crispino.
How does it feel to be a part of the Wishup podcast finally?
It feels funny. It feels different. I'm a guest at Wishup's podcast. So yeah, I mean, cannot explain the feeling. It's like, being a guest at, the same organization.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a long time coming. I mean, we've been planning this for quite a while now, but finally we've got the time. So thank you so much for taking the time to actually come on the show. I understand you're busy, but thank you so much for,
No. I always have time for you. I always have time for marketing team.
Awesome. So I'm very excited for this episode, actually. I've curated a bunch of questions and I hope you're also excited and ready for this interview.
I am. I'm actually very excited. I'm actually excited to know what questions you're going to ask me.
Awesome. All right. So, Neelesh, let's start off with an easy one actually for you. So we know the ambitious and hardworking Neelesh, but give us an insight into your childhood. Like, how were you as a kid? Were you always this ambitious kid, like an entrepreneur that you are today? Or were you just like one of the normal kids playing gully cricket or football?
I don't know what normal means, Crispino, but yeah, I mean, I was competitive. I was Magoo. I was studious. Not bookish studious, but I was teacher's pet, and I was a class topper in my school days. But I come from a tier 2 town of India, so probably topping the class is easy. And but I also played. I played cricket. I played basketball with my friends. So yeah, my childhood was very simple, like a very laid back kind of a tier 2 city, Bhopal. Imagine how 90s and 2000s would be. And then, teenage was spent in college in Chennai, and those were exciting times. College is an exciting time for everyone.
College is exciting time, yes.
So yeah, I mean, that's about it. And from my childhood, every child has this moving goal post, right? So I also had a moving goal post. So sometimes I wanted to, like, if you go back, like when I was super young, I wanted to be I wanted to be an engine driver. I was like, trains were really amusing to me, like long structures moving. So I wanted to be an engine driver. Then I wanted to be a pilot. Then I wanted to be a cricketer. Then when I became a little more mature, I wanted to be an industrialist. Like, I wanted to set up a factory on a small piece of land that my dad had.
How old were you when you had this idea of setting up a factory?
I was 12. I think I was 12.
That's still very young. Young.
I don't know why I got this idea. I don't know. I don't know where this idea got seeded in my mind, but I told my father one day, you know what, when I'm going to grow up and I'll probably go to the US, because at that point of time, everyone was probably talking about going to the US, making money in dollars and everything. I think people still talk about it. So I was like, I'll make some money, I'll save some money, like everybody, like everyone, right? And then I'll come back and I'll set up a factory on your land. So my dad is like, okay, we've got to.
Wow, that was ambitious for a 12-year-old, Neelesh.
Well, yeah, I mean,
nice.
Those were childhood days, and then when I went to the college, the reality hit me and I realized, wow, people are really, really smart, and so
Yeah, I was watching this episode of Finance with Sharan the other day, and it's kind of similar to your story as well. Like, he used to top his class and all, but when he went and he came to the city, Bangalore, I guess, and once he started studying there, he realized that, oh shit, like, I'm a very
really
small fish in a big sea.
So you know what, like like being a topper in the school and then you want to go to the college. So ऐसे सोच के जाते, like, you think and you say that, I'm going to go to the college and I'll be the coolest dude and everything. And then you go to the college and then you meet these guys from Delhi and Mumbai and Bangalore, and all the big cities, who play football, who play guitar, who play cricket, who do dramatics, and they are like cool in every other domain, and you are like, oh shit, like, you don't know anything. So that's when I realized that, big city has that kind of a impact on your personality.
True. But hey, you're not doing that bad, huh? You're still managing a company right now, and got other projects working on. So I think.
Yeah, I mean, things are not so.
I think you did well.
It's going well right now. So let's see. The dreams are bigger, but let's see.
Awesome. So could you tell me about Wishup? Like, how did the idea of setting up a remote organization come in your mind? That too, way before COVID. Like, because of COVID, we've all went into kind of remote work. But you had this idea a couple of years before that. So how did this idea come to you and Vivek?
This idea is a pivot from one of our previous business models. And if you remember, 2015-16 was the time when a lot of hyperlocal startups started, and we wanted to do everything through WhatsApp. You would find this idea, somebody's launching this idea again now, but this is an idea we launched back in 2015-16. And the idea picked up, but we never made any money, and we realized that we would never make any money. So we got excited about the funding ecosystem, and you just come up with an idea, get a funding, and scale that idea, and then keep funding that idea through external. I mean, I think at one point of time we realized, Vivek and me, that this is not us, and we don't want to play the user acquisition and the funding game. And I mean, there was certain value to that idea. There still is certain value to that idea. There are players like Dunzo which are operating in that space, and they are doing very good. Mad respect for people who have achieved that. But after a certain point of time, we realized, what do we want to do with our business? And we realized that some of our clients were using our WhatsApp service not for hyperlocal, but for getting some office related work done, like some work on Excel sheets and reaching out to people and blah blah blah. We then studied these clients, and we figured out these were entrepreneurs in India. And then this idea clicked, and then we started researching on this idea. We figured out this is an existing idea where people work remotely. They are virtual assistants, they are software developers working remotely. There are a lot of people working remotely. We realized there were people working remotely from Thailand, for American companies. And then we thought, hey, India is a good market for this. It has to be, right? Because see, so many people getting educated every year, so many people coming to the market. We can become a world's office, as somebody said. I think Mr. Kotak said that India could be the office of the world. He said it in COVID. He said it during COVID. But we were executing it before COVID, and we were a well-oiled machinery when the COVID hit, and that's when we also kind of picked up a lot.
So I guess you'll have now started, or we are now having clients in America. So how did that transition happen? Like, how did you decide to go to US?
So in 2017, we started our service in India. And then we realized that we were getting traction. Again, just like the previous business, we were getting traction in India. We were getting payments in India, but the retention was a problem in India. And we realized that we were adding less value, because I think maybe Indian entrepreneurs did not value micro outsourcing at that point of time. Maybe they still don't value it, because I think employees are easily available maybe in India. But then we thought, hey, who could find more value of our product and our service? We started it in US, boom, it clicked. And then again, we were facing some issues there. And then we again did some research on the data. We figured out that New York and San Francisco are better markets. I think big cities of the US are better markets.
Got it. Just to follow up on that. So what would you say are the benefits of outsourcing for a company from US? And why should like an entrepreneur sitting in New York consider hiring a remote employee from Wishup?
Oh, don't get me started on that. Like, it's a long list of benefits that, an entrepreneur has when they outsource. I'm talking about outsourcing, not outsourcing to India. Outsourcing in general has a lot of benefits. And then I'll talk about benefits of outsourcing to India. So one, you don't have to hire somebody on your payroll. Payrolling is a big cost. You don't have to get a recruiter to, fill your positions. Recruitment is a big cost. Recruitment takes up a lot of your time. Recruitment takes up a lot of your energy, efforts, which you could have spent in building your business. Right? Then let's say if you get a wrong candidate on board, then there's a process of, like parting ways. That is another time-taking process, refilling the position. This all is solved by outsourcing in general, right? And this is why people outsource. Just that there were very few outsourcing options for startups. In the past, outsourcing options existed for big companies, enterprises, but we bring outsourcing options for startups also, right? Then there are no admin costs, no laptop costs, no office costs, no electricity costs, no travel. You save the environment. It is more green. So many things. No taxes. By the way, no taxes. Very important.
So an American entrepreneur doesn't have to pay any taxes.
No, because this is a service. It goes as a service.
Got it.
So you pay taxes when you pay an employee. Right? You pay 401k and so many other benefits when you pay an employee. But if you pay a service, it's an expense. It's not payroll. So that's a huge benefit for any entrepreneur. Then it's a risk-free hiring, Crispino. It's a risk-free hiring. I mean, an entrepreneur, they can switch on, switch off whenever they want. So
so no long-term commitments, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you can have long-term commitments, you can have mid-term commitments, you can have short-term commitments. I mean, the benefits are insane, amazing benefits.
Also, I think because of the difference in the pricing or difference in the packages, the American entrepreneurs can hire like a full-time employee for
a fraction of a price.
Is it the same?
For a fraction of the price. Okay. So, I think now let's talk about outsourcing from the eastern part of the world. See, internet is fast across the world now. You don't have to, an American doesn't need to have an American employee, right? And anyway, you don't get the best employee in your same zip code, right? The best employees are everywhere in the world. The best talent is everywhere in the world, right? An entrepreneur should always think about using our platforms of this type like Wishup, to actually source good talent from across the world, and at a fraction of the cost. At the fraction of the cost, like probably 10 to 25% of the cost of a local employee in the US. I mean, we don't even want to talk about it because it's a well understood fact, right?
Yeah, true. So, but I had a concern over, Neelesh. Do you think the quality of the virtual assistant or of the remote employee provided by Wishup is similar to a full-time employee based in America?
No, the quality is good. I mean, look, Indians are respected across the world. I mean, Silicon Valley is built by Indians, right?
By Indians, yes.
But at Wishup, we take care of the quality a lot. So you won't believe me, Crispino, because these facts are probably not out, but only 1%, in fact, less than 1% of the total applicants are onboarded on our platform. It takes up a lot of our time and our processes, aptitude tests, English tests, interviews to actually filter out the top 1% and then onboard them to our platform. And that's not it, Crispino. We also, make everyone go through a training process. I'm sure you also would have gone through a certain training process, right? This training process lasts for about 4 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on the performance of the candidate. Right? And then on the top of that, there is a support system. So if the candidate works with our client, they, till the time their relationship is stable, there's a client success team, there is a candidate success team who work very closely with the relationship and try to achieve best possible outcome for the client. You don't find it anywhere else. So this is our special.
It's a very unique business model. Yes, I agree. Like I've seen freelancers, I've seen other organizations where they hire and kind of place you with their placement organizations, but here there's kind of a whole hand-holding phase where you kind of ensure that the remote employee understands the job and the tasks expected of him.
So amazing. I mean, just to add to that, I mean, the sincere clients actually value this a lot. So for example, one of our clients actually described us and compared us to a freelancer. So they said, a freelancer is like a one-pager website. Wishup is like a website with a backend, right? Because we have all the moving pieces in the backend. So
True. So how has your journey been like managing this whole business model and a remote organization?
It's
very unique because you also used to work in the office before, working with KPMG and Rocket Internet, but now you're starting a all remote organization. So how has your journey been?
So initially it was weird because it felt, I mean, a transition from office to remote is usually difficult. The world was forced into it in 2020, but we did it voluntarily. And at that point of time, we felt a little out of place, actually. Frankly speaking, we thought, people are going to office, they are important people. We are not so important people, not going to office, working from home. I mean, in your mind, it makes sense, right? It's more efficient. You save time, you save money, you save fuel, you save environment. But then, we thought, wow, people are doing important stuff. We are probably not doing such important stuff, right? But when we saw that the team started growing, so you have to remember that initially we got a lot of interest from stay-at-home moms. We were a boon for them, right? So,
and I think right now as well, we have a lot of stay-at-home moms on our payroll, right?
We do, yes. In fact, most of our star performers happen to be stay-at-home moms, right? So, I mean, they are smart, they are talented, they are loyal, they are grateful. So, I mean, all the good qualities, right? So, and they take ownership. This is something good about, stay-at-home moms. They have very high ownership. And which is required in all the jobs, man. Like every entrepreneur craves for more ownership in their team members, right? So this is how we got a lot of interest from stay-at-home moms, and then the team started growing, and then we also started facing a lot of problems because in a bigger team the problems were new. People won't report on time. Some people would report on time. I mean, all the HR related problems just more amplified because you cannot see people there, right? At that point of time, a lot of managers helped us. They would, keep in touch with everybody on the phone. We did not have a lot of tools like now, right? We use Slack, we use, time tracking tools. So things evolved over time. And that's why I said, before COVID, we were a well-oiled machinery. We faced a lot of problems and we found, we tried to find solutions to those problems.
Got it. So, like, I'm pretty sure it's the same, but I just wanted to know from you, like, how do you assess performance in a remote setup? Is it based on target and achievement, or is there some kind of different metric to assess performance?
So there are two types of roles at Wishup. So there are client-facing roles, and then there are internal roles. For client-facing roles, the performance is very objectively defined by the client. I mean, they let us know if they are happy with our virtual assistants, or
there is a feedback mechanism in place.
Yeah, they give 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. They give a testimonial. We get to know a lot of these things. There are client success calls every 7th day, 15th day, 1 month, 45 days, just to see if everything is on track. For internal employees, it's same as any other team. Like you have your metrics defined, sales team has sales goals, marketing team has marketing goals. You guys have, some goals, podcast goals. So I mean, it's same as any other organization. It's not very different actually.
Got it. So moving on to my next question, which was also kind of the reason which enticed me to join Wishup. So Wishup has seen unprecedented growth over the past couple of years, like a 500% increase in revenue. So what do you think attributed to that growth?
One, we had our processes in place. Two, people started seeing the value of Wishup on both the sides. So candidate got all the candidates who joined us, they got a good hike in their pay. Clients got high quality talent, at a very affordable price. So it really worked out for both the sides, and people started observing us, and then suddenly COVID hit. So it became a necessity actually, right?
Got it.
Some clients lost their business, so they of course could not continue with us. But then there are a lot of new clients who turned up in the market because they were looking for solutions, right? How remote would work. So we are not just a talent platform. We also provide a remote solution. I mean, our app is one of its type to manage remote workers, remote employees.
Got it. So my next question would be, do you think we can sustain this kind of growth in the next few years?
This is a very good question. Now, entrepreneurs are usually very optimistic always, but the answer to that is yes. And I have got data to back it up, and also logic. Let's talk about the logic here. When people realize that remote works, the first set of people to hold on to remote is employees. They don't want to go back to office. Many of them don't want to go back to office. Some of them do want to go back to office. So everyone in the world agrees that hybrid is the way to go.
Yes.
Yes.
Most of the polls say that, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, that means that full-time office is not the way to go. That means remote has to work. Right? If remote has to work, then the organizations would realize that if the remote concept is here to stay, then we might as well hire from the entire world instead of hiring from just your local country. So I feel the market is still going to grow, and in fact the new companies that are going to be set up, they will have to be remote first companies, otherwise they might not be able to attract talent. So eventually the market will lean towards remote because employees will demand it. It's a feature now. I mean, many people come to us saying that, hey, my company doesn't allow remote work, so I want to work with you guys. We are happy,
absolutely.
Right?
So since there are many benefits for employees and employers working remotely, but I was reading a stat the other day, I can't remember from which website was it, but it said that about 67% of remote organizations still fail to set up. So why do you think that is?
To set up. The organizations don't fail. They probably fail to set up remote work. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are a lot of issues or concerns with setting up remote teams, especially for those who have always worked in offices. Right? See, the first and foremost thing a remote brings in is more trust in your organization. See, if I don't trust my team working remotely, I won't be able to set up a remote team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Number two is the kind of people who work remotely have certain traits. For example, they are high on ownership. So if somebody is low on ownership, they are not suitable for remote working. Right? So if the team culture is built around a manager, that manager has to get all the work done by everybody else, those organizations will find it very difficult to be remote first. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
True. Yes, absolutely.
If everyone in the team doesn't own up their stuff, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But then there are other logistical issues also. For example, people don't document. Remote needs documentation, right? Remote needs asynchronous communication. Remote needs over communication. So
that brings me to my next question. Actually, what would you say are the top 3 things required to set up a remote organization?
Oh, the top 3 things required to set up a remote organization is, one is documentation. You have to document each and everything. You have to document minutes of meeting. You have to make process books, department-wise books, right? Like in X situation, how do you solve it? In Y situation, how do you solve it? Everything needs to be completely documented. So that is a good thumb rule for any organization, but remote pushes it further. Like remote demands it, right? Number 2 is, because people cannot be available on the screen all the time, right? See, meeting rooms are different, but you cannot be on the screen all the time. So you have to develop this mechanism of asynchronous communication, right? You have to write down things and wait for the other person to read it in their own time.
Yes.
And that brings me to the third point. Asynchronous communication works when you over communicate. So that's my third point, right? Don't expect the other person to just understand. You have to explain it very clearly. Something that might
drive the points.
Something that might be clear in your head might not be clear to everyone in the team. So I think these are the 3 most important factors of being successful in a remote organization.
So did you have to learn it the hard way with Wishup or? Okay, so I think it's most of the time, because remote organizations or remote culture is so new. Like this podcast can be useful to someone starting up a remote organization maybe 1 year down the line, but you didn't have any reference points.
I mean, we didn't have any reference points, so it was, people talk about first movers advantage, but first movers is usually not always an advantage, because you have to learn things the hard way, right? But then we did have some reference points. So there is this company called GitLab or GitHub. I think one of the two. I think it was GitHub.
GitHub,
They talk about the process books, basically remote handbooks for each department. Like every possible case, every possible problem, every possible query should be documented in that document, right? In that piece of paper. It could be Excel sheet, it could be Jira, it could be anything, right? Where people can go and look it up.
Got it. So let's talk a bit about Wishup now. So Wishup is a very unique remote organization and you've done really well. So what are the benefits of hiring from Wishup, and why does it have a competitive edge over other remote workforce organizations?
So, there are a lot of benefits of hiring from Wishup. So number 1 is, as I mentioned previously in this, call, that we hire top 1% of all the applicants, all the candidates who apply. We take only top 1%. In fact, now the number is less than top 1%. Number 2 is we train our people in so many useful low-code tools, no-code tools, remote tools, which are necessary, which are mandatory for a new organization, for a new startup of today's time, right? Number 3 is they always have a support system within Wishup to actually upskill themselves and to solve their queries. I mean, on our Slack group, I see every day there's a new query coming up and somebody from the community goes in and, helps out. So, this is the advantage. This is the Wishup advantage, I would say.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with that. I see those queries coming in every day, and it's good that there is an ecosystem built that is kind of organic. So what's your vision, Neelesh? Where do you see Wishup in the next 3 to 5 years?
My vision is, if we are successful, I want to impact 10,000 families in India and across the world over next few years. What do I mean by that impact is that, there are many people who actually call me from our team. They thank me and Vivek, especially people from Mumbai and Bangalore. I think they love the remote working. It has helped them a lot in saving their time, in cooling off a little bit because I think it's too much hustle in Mumbai and Bangalore. They get to spend time with their family and they get to earn more at Wishup. I mean, some people are grateful about it, some people are not. That's a different story. But this helps us. This makes us feel good about ourselves. That somebody called me and said, I was going to have a daughter, and I did not know how would I be able to manage my finances. But you guys have solved it for me, and I'm very grateful. I was like I was a little,
touched by it.
I was like, okay. But then I thought, this is something to look forward to, and this is what I wanted actually. And if we are able to do it for 10,000 families in India and across the world, and maybe over a period of time, maybe in next 15 years, 1 million families, that would be really nice.
Yeah. And I think not only locally, but you have also moved internationally, globally now. Yeah. So I think you'll be touching very soon the families of people overseas as well. Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to talk a bit about the American VAs that you've started? Like, what was the motivation behind starting US based?
Yeah. So basically, recently I got a chance to, visit US and actually meet some of the clients. I was able to, meet like 25-30 clients in the US. I realized that, they were really happy with our services and everything. But one thing that they requested was that they would need somebody who could speak the native tongue. I mean, they're talking about English here, but these guys speak American English. Somebody who is fluent in native accent.
Got it. Yeah.
For client-facing roles, for more communication-oriented roles, and this is when we thought maybe we should give US VAs a chance, and maybe there's a scope of it. Maybe there's a demand there.
Yeah,
it seems to be working. So I think I think our clients are actually really interested in actually evaluating an option of hiring a US-based virtual assistant.
Yeah. I read the other day we've added some new virtual assistants, US-based virtual assistants. So congratulations for that. And if anybody wants to hire American virtual assistants, you can drop us a message.
Yes, absolutely.
Right here. Awesome. So Neelesh, before I let you go, is there any message you'd like to give any entrepreneur out there who's looking to start a remote organization?
Yes, go for it. Start a remote organization. Don't go for an office. There are a lot of benefits. If you are remote first from day one, you will figure it out. You don't have to, spend money on office and infrastructure and internet and, fuel and waste your time. So definitely go for it and let us help you out, because we actually have gained a lot of expertise over last 4-5 years to, build remote teams, especially remote generalists, virtual assistants, project managers, bookkeepers, people who can help you with your operations, software testers. We can help you out with that. So, this is the message for all the startups and businesses who want to build a remote organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Neelesh. It was amazing talking to you as always. And thanks for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Crispino, like on the podcast, off the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that,
Thank
Neelesh.
you.
And have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
See ya.